Greetings, chosen ones. Peace and blessings to you all. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you're out there being more than conquerors, doing great things out in your community, for your friends, for your family, all for the glory of God. Now, that's my usual kind of intro. Yeah, some people might think it's a bit cheesy, it's a bit corny, but the words I'm saying there, are important, and I repeat it at the beginning of every video because when you repeat something, it becomes embedded in the subconscious, right? So it becomes a powerful affirmation when you hear it over and over again. It becomes who you are, what you are. And you can put something positive in the subconscious, or you can program the subconscious with something negative. And subconscious programming and programming in general, societal programming, is something I'm going to talk about today. So this photo you're staring at, this picture, this meme, is something that I stumbled across the other day, and it kind of struck me, the contrast that you're seeing in the picture on the left and the picture on the right. And this is kind of where we are in today's society as far as the promotion of values goes, the accepted norms of the culture. We are seeing, witnessing and living the undermining of the very fabric of human society. The foundations, every foundation of human society is being uprooted and dissolved, broken down. And there's a reason why that's being done. See, a lot of people might think, well, it's just the way the world's gone. Nothing in this world is organic. A war is being fought upon us mentally, physically, and spiritually. So I'm going to demonstrate that in this video. So let's read this. So modern men have to work 5 times harder than their grandfathers for a woman, 20 times worse than what their grandmothers were. Let me just say right off the bat that no man with a sane mind, who knows his worth and knows who he really is, should be working in any capacity to try and gain the attention of the type of woman we see here on the right. So you ask any man, right, any young guy, just looking at these 2 pictures, okay, which woman out of the 2 women in these pictures would you trust to raise your children? Would it be the one on the left? I mean, just going on the general posture, body language, demeanor, would it be the one on the left or the one on the right with the porno anime face? I think I know the answer to that. Now, I have no idea who this person on the right is. I'm not singling this person out specifically, but as an archetype, okay, this is kind of representing where we are with women in the current culture, right? It's everything for attention, the porno prostitution mindset has become firmly embedded in the mainstream culture. It's now part of the mainstream culture as it was in ancient Babylon. Okay? So we can see that this is someone who craves attention, but probably possesses 0 attention span themselves. Now, this face she's pulling there, it's known as a Ahegao face, something along those lines. If I've pronounced it properly, I'm not sure, but it's to do with anime porn. But what's interesting about it is the tongue out. Now, I believe there's a spirit behind this, right? And that spirit would be the spirit of Kali, goddess of destruction. So we're seeing destruction of the family, destruction of civilization. Now, society is influenced in a number of ways. We're going to be getting into that a little bit, but one of the ways society is influenced is through social media. You know, a lot of these women, if you can call them that, they're really children in adult bodies. These popular women on social media with the millions of followers, the thousands of followers, you know, they're normally puppets of someone or something, right? They've normally been through trauma-based mind control. So they're put out there into the public domain to spread certain behaviors to the weak-minded, which is the general population, who already have no real spiritual grounding, what I'd call the lost. So they're looking for something to gravitate towards, and they see this and they gravitate towards it because it's the thing to do, right? The influencers. Interesting that that term has been coined because there's nothing organic about it, but they've been named influencers because that's exactly what they are. By design. Put there. Promoted. Pushed into the public awareness. Pushed onto people's feeds, or whatever platform they may be a part of. If you want to take down an existing society, you've got to capture the minds of the women, just as it was in the Garden of Eden. The serpent beguiled Eve. Destruction followed. So we have a picture of Kali, goddess of destruction, and what do we see here? Men with severed heads, worn as a necklace, power over men, representing their spiritual death. Okay? So this is the spirit we're seeing behind that face, the tongue out. Pay attention. So just as, you know, the girl on with the OnlyFans account, the Pornhub account, you know, is taking in more and more male victims, you know, feeding that entity behind it all. So who are the victims? Well, they're the men who have been socially and chemically engineered. Now, the face that these men are pulling in these pictures here is a fairly recent phenomenon. It's known as the soy face. And it comes from the idea that ingesting soya increases estrogens in the body. Now, that's not entirely true, but there is an increase in estrogen happening in the water. All those birth control pills going in the water supply, plastics, BPAs, bisphenol A, which increases estrogen-like chemicals in the body. Plus the social engineering factor. Men are encouraged to exhibit feminine traits and become weaker and weaker, and will be socially shamed or ostracized if they don't play ball. And so these are the men that are preyed upon by these predatory spirits that use the bodies of these females as hosts. These men will typically worship these females as goddesses. They will spend money buying worn underwear, used bath water, and generally allow themselves to be humiliated. These are people with no sense of who they really are, no real identity, and no self-worth. Now, this wide open mouth is an interesting phenomena, and again, is there a spirit behind this? A controlling entity, because where else do we see this face? And we see it right here. Drag queens, the wide open mouth, the wide-eyed expression, Interesting. So we're really seeing the same thing at work here, aren't we? You know? And of course, there's a whole agenda being pushed now through the mainstream media and in society in general, where they now tell people and children you can change sex, and not just by putting on male or female clothing, but by actually taking gender bending drugs and having surgery. Now, these are men, if we can call them that, who truly exist in some form of extreme existential crisis. There's probably some part of them that is seeking death. You know, so that manifests in interesting ways. You know, the giving away of their God-given life force and power to demonic entities, to trivial material products. Now, I've got nothing against gaming as such. I enjoy a bit of gaming from time to time, but it's almost like a profound expression of religious worship for an idol. Just looking at these pictures, one gets the feeling that the extreme facial expressions is like a severe overcompensation for some deep existential misery and crisis. And that's probably exactly what is going on here. So all this social and chemical engineering has led to a place where childlike men seek solace in a world of pornography and waifu pillows for comfort, all very far removed from the creator's original design for men and women. I'm not even going to get into the types of families that are being normalised throughout society and the media at the moment. That might be a subject for another video. I don't even know if it will be allowed on this platform. So for now, I'm just going to stick to the ongoing debasement of heterosexual relationships. So, yeah, men truly do have, you know, an uphill battle on their hands. You know, it is slim pickings out there, and these are the times we're living in now. You know, if it's not the porno, anime, OnlyFans, Pornhub account types, and those that aspire to emulate them, they want to be the strong, independent woman, you know, with the career, you know. And we'll come to that later on. So it's like, well, how did we get here? So we've got a situation now where we have this on the right coupled with this, right? And then when you weed out the ones that have, you know, had medical interventions, I won't really say what I'm talking about, but they shut the whole world down for it a couple of years ago, right? Pokemon fans. So we don't even know, we're in unknown territory as far as that goes. You know, we don't know how that's going to leave people, you know, in terms of their health. Are they even going to be fertile? And if they do get pregnant, what effects is that going to have on the fetus, on the child? We just don't know. We're in uncharted territory now. So, yeah, it's a different landscape now. When you take the anime types out of the equation, the independent career women and Pokemon fans, there's not a lot to choose from. But I digress. So, you know, how did we get here? Well, you know, and this is it. A lot of people will go, well, you know, it's just the way it is, just the way the world's gone. Well, you know, there's a thing called social engineering. Okay. So here we go. John D. Rockefeller, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. So they fund and create a feminist movement, you know, and then they'll convince women that being a stay-at-home wife and mother is a form of slavery. And they'll push that through the education system and through the media. until it becomes the accepted mindset of women in general. You see, it used to be a time when the man went out, earned a wage, and that was enough to, support a family, have a wife, have a family, buy a house. You didn't have to have a top job to do it, right? But the forces at work, the powers that shouldn't be, they wanted the women in the workplace, right? Because then when the women are in the workplace, right, someone else gets to educate the kids, right? The kids that are being born, okay? Plus, women at home, that's half the population that they can't tax. So if they get them out working, then there's more tax revenue coming in to fund their agendas. But at the same time, over time, wages for men will drop. So then women are forced to have to go out to work, right? So now we have a situation where men and women have to work just to keep the roof over their head, right? So this is how these evil minds work, okay? So education, planned enslavement through lack of knowledge. And this is how we are here. This is what it's all about. And as David Rockefeller said, we're on the verge of a global transformation. All we need is the right major crisis and the nations will accept the New World Order. It's all about producing a population of dependent, compliant, obedient slaves. Now, personally, I don't believe these creatures are human. I believe they are demons in human skin, the manifestation of evil, Nephilim hybrids that Jesus Christ referred to as the tares, and they are carrying out Satan's agenda on this earth. But even if you choose to leave those ideas aside, the facts speak for themselves of what they're doing. Now, these creatures consider human beings, the human population, as nothing more than a resource to be managed, exploited, and even culled, if necessary, however they see fit. And if they aren't of benefit to their plans, they consider us useless eaters. And those that are falling in line and going along with it all, they consider useful idiots. So here we read, the aim of public education is not to spread enlightenment at all. It is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, to put down dissent and originality. They don't want people coming up with bright ideas. If they're going to conflict with their ideas, they don't want that. Okay. So there's a quote here from Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, and this is a document that was said to have come out of the first Bilderberg Group meeting in 1954. I'm going to leave a link to that document in the description so you can download that and have a read of that yourself. So here's a quote from a guy called Max Horkheimer. He came out of an institution known as the Frankfurt School, which is pushing concepts that they called critical theory. And he was a founding father of cultural Marxism. The revolution won't happen with guns, rather it will happen incrementally, year by year, generation by generation. We will gradually infiltrate their educational institutions and their political offices, transforming them slowly into Marxist entities as we move towards universal egalitarianism. So this term universal egalitarianism, it's not about raising people up, it's about bringing everyone down, right? Everyone will be equal, but equally inferior, okay? And this whole idea about Marxism is just a tool, to push a satanic agenda. That's really all it is. The end goal's the same. It is Marxism, but really, what is Marxism? It's an atheistic idea. It removes God from the equation. It's a satanic agenda. So, now damage has been done. People are starting to realise they've been had. Okay, people are becoming more and more impoverished. People are working harder and harder. They're less and less happy with life in general. You know, they were sold a utopian dream. You know, it's the perfect system. It's all going to be so fair and equal. Well, think again. It's mission accomplished. The next stage in the agenda for the powers that shouldn't be has been accomplished. So the controlled media does what it always does. It uses gaslighting tactics. Tries to convince you that, you know, it was your idea all along. Okay? And you made a mistake. So putting this video together, I stumbled across this website. Now, again, all of the media is run by a satanic cult that likes to gaslight their readers, their viewers. Okay? And we've only got to look at the title of this website, right? Now, most of these websites, in fact, all of them, will push an atheistic worldview. But as believers, we know what this means, right? Jezebel, why would you pick that name, right? Because they'll push the idea that the Bible is just a bunch of fairy stories. So why pick a name that's from the Bible, and why this particular name? Now, we know as believers about Queen Jezebel, married to King Ahab, and Jezebel instigated Baal worship. Okay? So, why this particular name? If you were going to choose a name from the Bible, why this one? So, we're looking down this article. Okay, again, it's gaslighting. It's let's play ignorant time. What's behind? What's the story behind this face? Well, we know, and they know, right? So whoever's writing this article, they know. But of course, the average reader doesn't know. So they'll just say, oh, isn't it funny? Isn't it quirky? Right? But we can see how, right, once the influencers push it out there, it spreads like a disease into the culture. And I'm not going to read the article because I'm done kind of reading gaslighting, boring articles. But basically, they're saying, oh, what is this interesting, quirky phenomenon we're seeing everyone do? All these young girls, and look, you see how it spreads into the culture. Now, we know what it is. They know what it is. And, you know, on a physical level, we know what this face is representing, right? But also there's a spiritual component, isn't there? Right? Which we've been over. So I just thought that was interesting to throw in, because this is how they gaslight the public and push ideas, push new cultural norms onto the public, and the public lap them up because, again, they have no grounding in a biblical foundation. So, you know, when there's no rules, it's do what thou wilt. There's a void that needs to be filled, and these will fill it. The cult behind all of the media will fill it, and they do. And this is why they've taken the Bible out of schools. This is why they've largely done away with any biblical Christian foundation. And now we can see the results, can't we? So here's an interesting article I stumbled across from a website called the Harvard Business Review, and it's called Executive Women and the Myth of Having It All. You see, so this is how it goes down in this reality, you know, the media, mainstream, it pushes narratives and then it gaslights you, right? So for decades, for generations, they were telling women, you can have it all. You can have it all, right? You know, you go, girl, you can have it all. But now they're saying, well, it's a myth. Oh, yeah, by the way, that was a myth, right? So they push these narratives and ideas, and then when people cotton on to what's going on, and they go, hang on a sec, you know, this isn't how you said it would be. They go, oh yeah, it was a myth. Didn't you get the memo? Yeah, it's all a myth. Oh, that was never true. Yeah. So it all becomes a form of gaslighting, right? So then they change the narrative and switch it up, as we can see here. So again, here you can see the drip feed in the mainstream media, you know, the drip, slow drip programming, the child-free life when having all means not having children, you see. So again, it's like they're pushing that narrative, you know, they're normalizing it, right? Now, to have it all means to not have children, right? And that's going to be the meaning of life, you know. Again, it's population reduction, right? By any means, any and every means. And that's what's been happening, right? So they're going to do it covertly, you know, because, you know, we live in a free world, right? So they're going to do it covertly, and this is how they do it. They're going to do it by programming the subconscious of the population, make them think that they've been making their own choices, right? Convince them that, you know, to have it all means you've got to make sacrifices, and that'll be not having children. And they're going to do it chemically by various means, which they're doing. Can you see the Orwellian doublespeak here? The contradiction in terms that creates a condition of cognitive dissonance in the mind of the reader. So I'm just going to read a quick bit of this article. I'm not going to read all of it, but it gives you an idea of where we are, because, you know, women are realizing, yeah, you can't have it all, right? But now they're telling you, right? Oh yeah, can't have it all. Yeah. Whoops. So yeah, there's a secret out there, a painful, well-kept secret. At midlife, between a third and half of all successful career women in the United States do not have children. In fact, 33%, 33, that's the Masonic gaslighting code right there. 33% of such women, business executives, doctors, lawyers, academics and the like, in the 41 to 55 age bracket are childless, and that figure rises to 42% in corporate America. So that's not just America, you could say the whole of the Western world. Whole of the system, really. These women have not chosen to remain childless. The vast majority, in fact, yearn for children. Yeah, but they bought into the narrative. You can have it all, right? You can put off settling down. You can put off childbirth. You can have the career, right? You can go out there, have the career, have your fun, you know, rack up a body count, then find Prince Charming at the end of it all, you know? It's all just going to fall neatly into place like that, right? No, it doesn't work like that in the real world. But, you know, through the education system, through the media, you know, women are told, you know, you can have it all. And a lot of them fall for it. And then they realize later on, no, you can't have it all. It doesn't work like that, right? There's painful truths that get in the way of that idea. Okay, indeed, some have gone to extraordinary lengths to bring a baby into their lives, you see. So when they realise they can't find a man, then they turn into, they subject themselves to complex medical procedures, shell out tens of thousands of dollars and derail their careers, mostly to no avail. So, no, you know, they turn into the medical industrial complex, right, when they can't find a man, you know, shelling out thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, right, to no avail. Because why is that? Because you can't cheat biology, right? Doesn't matter what you do, right? Because these efforts come too late, right? Just left it too late. It's as simple as that, right? These women, they should followed what they were doing in previous generations. You know, it wasn't about the career. You know, a guy and a girl got together, they settled down, they raised a family, right? And then they worked out how they're going to manage. You know, the woman supported the guy in whatever he was doing. You know, he went out there, he worked his arse off. You know, somehow they made it work. They didn't think, well, you know, if I get X amount of money and that, but, you know, they just figured it out as they were going along and it worked out, right? But now you're told you've got to get the career in place first, you know, before you can have the children. And yeah, you've got to have the lifestyle and all that to go with it. You can have it all. And it's not true. They sold you a lie. They sold all these women a lie, you know, and it's all by design. You know, they want workers. They want more tax revenue coming in and they want to reduce the population, right? You know, human beings are just a farmed resource in this world, right? When they want you to produce more, they encourage you to have children. When they say there's just too much of us running around, you know, useless eaters, they call us, and they want to reduce the population. That's where we are now. You know, they've been wanting to reduce the population, and it's the useful idiots have bought into the narrative, you know, because it's been sold to them in schools. They're listening to everyone out there telling them, the media, you know, the education system, and they sold them a lie because now, look, here they are. They gaslight you. Oh, it's all a myth. You can't have it all. Sorry. Oops. Right? So, in the words of one senior manager, the typical high-achieving woman, childless at midlife, has not made a choice, but a creeping non-choice. You see, so they think they're making all the choices and they can keep making choices, but then, you know, there's choices that you don't make. It's just circumstances, right? So why has the age-old business of babies become so difficult for today's high-achieving women? Again, gaslighting, you know, really, seriously, you don't know the answer to that question? Come off of it, man. I mean, they push feminism hard, you know, for decades, for generations, right? They know. You know, you can't play stupid on that one. You know, it's common sense to anyone with, you know, more than one functioning brain cell. In January 2001, in partnership with the market research company Harris Interactive and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm not going to read that bit. Just scroll down. She does a survey, finding out. You know, you don't need to do a survey to just find out the obvious. You know, it's people's everyday experience. You know, everyone's got women out there in the workplace now, and you know they're told they can have it all, and none of them are happy, right? Because they reach that certain age, they think, you know, the career is going to make them happy, all the material stuff's going to make them happy, but their basic biological function is to have children. So that's the fundamental basic biological function. So when that's not satisfied, of course they're not going to be happy, right? But then it's too late, right? Because they bought a lie. Okay, so again, it's like then it comes to like, you know, oh, men and women aren't equal. Well, no, they're not equal. You know, they have different functions. You know, men and women were created by God and have different functions. But they want to deny this, right? So the continuing inequity when it comes to career and fatherhood, high-achieving men don't have to deal with the difficult trade-off, right? 79% of the men I surveyed report wanting children and 75% have them. Right? The research shows that generally speaking, the more successful the man, the more likely he will find a spouse and become a father. See, women, the basic biological drives of women, you know, they look for a man that can provide. They look for a man that, you know, has resources and has experience. to protect, right? It's a basic, they want to have a child and produce a child in an environment that's going to be able to nurture that child. It's basic biological need. But you can't say, oh, well, they just discriminate against men. It's like, no, well, that's what they're looking for. They say the more successful a man, the more likely you'll find a spouse and become a father. That's just common sense. You don't see men that are less successful complaining about that. It's just a biological fact, right? And in fact, that's why men go out to have jobs and careers, is in the hope that they will be able to find a wife, settle down and raise a family. That's why they do it. There's very few men out there that actually, they do jobs they don't mind doing, but very few men are actually doing the job they really want. Most men have to just settle for whatever job they can get ahead in. And that's what they do. So the opposite holds true for women, and the disparity is particularly striking amongst corporate ultra-achievers. In fact, 49% of these women are childless, but a mere 19% of their male colleagues are. These figures underscore the depth and scope of the persisting painful inequities between the sexes. So they're trying to imply that there's some sort of, deliberate conspiracy involved there, right? But it's just basic biology. Our God-given biology, right? Women face all the challenges that men do, working long hours and withstanding the up or out pressures of high altitude careers, but they also face the challenges all their own. Yeah, those challenges they're women, right? They bear children. They're the ones that gestate children and give birth to children. You can't, any amount of social engineering is not going to change that fact, although they're putting all kinds of stuff in the water now, that gender bending people, they're trying, turn us into those Baphomets that they worship. But the basic natural condition is, men and women are different, women go through a menstrual cycle. Men don't. It's just the way it is. Men, the basic function of men and women, men are providers, protectors, and women are nurturers. They nurture and raise children. That's why they have breasts. Right? But again, it all ties into the social engineering program that's been going on, in this satanic culture. So, slim pickings in partners. So let's start with the fact that professional women find it challenging even to be married. For most, a necessary precondition for childbearing. Only 60% of high-achieving women in the older age group are married. This figure falls to 57% in corporate America. By contrast, 76% of older men are married, and this figure rises to 83% amongst ultra-achievers. Seeing again, they're kind of implying, it's unfair because, women can't find a man and settle down in late life because they're having careers, but it's also having a knock-on effect on men, right? So it's saying that only, 76% of older men, right? That's a more average job. So these ultra achievers, right? 83%, right? So whatever the women is happening with the women is going to affect the men. The men are going to have more limited choices as well. So it's not just affecting women, but obviously it's affecting women more. So consider Tamara Adler, 43, former managing director of the Deutsche Bank in London. She gave her take on these disturbing realities when I interviewed her for the study. Adler was the bank's most senior woman, and a highly successful career had left no room for family. She mentioned the obvious reasons, long hours and travel, but she also spoke eloquently about how ambitious careers discriminate against women. Well, in the rarefied upper reaches of high altitude careers where the air is thin, Men have a much easier time finding oxygen. They find oxygen in the form of younger, less driven women who will coddle their egos. Well, again, you see, it's a passive aggressive attack there, just for the fact that, again, basic biology, right? Men can find younger women. They're looking for younger women. Women prefer older, more experienced men with more resources because it provides a better environment to raise children. And men are looking for younger women because younger women are fertile, right? A man looks to get with a woman. When a man settles down, he's looking for a woman to raise a family with. That's the only reason a man is going to settle down with a woman, is to raise a family. And he's not going to settle down and raise a family with a woman who's approaching the menopause. It's just basic biology. You know, I would say it's not even a choice. It's a basic biological attraction, right? It's just the way it is. It's just biology. You know, you can't override that with any amount of political initiatives or, you know, anything like that. It's just ridiculous. But this is what social engineers do, right? She went on to conclude, the hard fact is that most successful men are not interested in acquiring an ambitious peer as a partner. I mean, that says it all, doesn't it? You know. So guys, yeah, are you looking for an ambitious peer as a partner? No, all you want is some dinner on the table at the end of a hard day's work and someone who can take care of your children, right, and take care of you, you know, and have some clean socks ready for you to put on. That's really what men are looking for, right? And not looking to do his and hers microwave meals, you know, at 10 o'clock at night. You know, no man in his right mind is looking for an ambitious peer as a partner. So it's a conclusion backed up by my data. Only 39% of high achieving men are married to women who are employed full time. Again, and 40%. It's a conclusion backed up by my data. Only 39% of high achieving men are married to women who are employed full time, and 40% of these spouses earn less than $35,000 a year. Yeah, these men aren't interested in what career a woman has, or it's not a factor that he takes into account, you know, when he's looking to settle down with a woman. It's like he's not interested in what her job is, what she earns. Is she healthy? Is she fertile? Has she got the right mental attitude to raise my children and to take care of a household, take care of me as a husband? Has she got the right temperament? That's what men are looking for, right? Meanwhile, 9 out of 10 married women in the high achieving category have husbands who are employed full time or self-employed, and a quarter are married to men who earn more than $100,000 a year. Clearly, successful women professionals have slim pickings in the marriage department. Well, here's the other thing, you know, if a woman is earning six figures, right? And again, this is the biological component. That women are hardwired to look for men who are providers. So if she's earning six figures, she's looking for a man who's earning seven figures, and she will see someone who's earning less than her as unsuitable. And that's at a subconscious level, right? So when you put women in the workplace and give them these jobs with these high incomes, they're going to write off men who they consider not suitable, i.e. they're not earning as much more than she is, right? So they'll write those men off. Even if those men are available, they will write those men off as unsuitable, right? So that's the other factor. So clearly, successful women professionals have slim pickings in the marriage department, particularly as they age. And again, the age factor, again. So they're going to write off men that earn less than them anyway, even if those men are offering. But obviously, as they age, men are looking for younger women, right? Professional men seeking to marry typically reach into a large pool of younger women, while professional women are limited to a shrinking pool of eligible peers. Again, a lot of it comes down to what their income is, right? She's on 6 figures. They want someone who's on 7 figures. According to US Census Bureau data, at age 28, there are 4 college-educated single men for every 3 college-educated single women. See, again, here's the thing. Men aren't interested if a woman's got a college education. They're just looking at her temperament, and is she healthy and fertile? That's the driving factors, is the temperament and her personality, and is she young, essentially, right? Of childbearing age, right? So the college education thing doesn't come into it, but they're saying from a female, from a high achieving female perspective, right? It's a factor, right? So again, he's got to earn more money. A decade later, the situation has radically changed. At 38, there is 1 man for every 3 women. So yeah, this is talking about college educated women, but yeah, men aren't even interested in that. So yeah, in reality, there's actually more women that, that men will consider eligible. But, it's not like it was back in the day. So you can write this stuff down on a piece of paper and put it on a graph, but the reality is how many women out there, even younger women, are suitable for marriage these days? I would argue very, very few. Very few. Right? That's the times we live in. The time crunch. Now add to that scarcity of marriage candidates a scarcity of time to spend nurturing those relationships. My survey results show that women are dealing with long and lengthening work weeks. It's not even the fact that everyone's working flat out, and have no time. It's also the fact that, as a woman gets older, you've got to find someone, settle down, get to know them, and start building a life, right? And just the having children, you're aiming to have a family, that takes a long amount of years. So, from a man's point of view, he's going to be wanting to settle down with a young woman because he's figuring, well, by the time we've kind of, bonded as a couple, settled down, had children, you're not just going to have one child. I mean, most people have more than one child. They're going to have a family. They're going to have 2, 3, 4 children, right? So, when you add all those years up, that's a lot of years. By the time you're done just giving birth to the children, it's going to take up the best part of a decade probably, right? So if you settle down with a woman in her early 20s, by the time you've just done that, she's gonna be in her early 30s near enough, right? So again, you're not going to look at older women. Man's not going to look at an older woman to establish a family with, right? But that's, leaving out the whole thing about how people are just working longer and longer hours now. That again goes against men and women, right? It goes against everyone. Everything goes against, family life, basically. Everything is going against family life, and it's all by design. They don't want people having children. They want to reduce the population. And again, factor in other factors now. People go, oh, it's hard. It's harder to find someone to settle down with. It's even harder now, and so many people now have had what I will call the Pokemon. And what are the long-term effects of that? Is that going to affect your fertility? What effect is that going to have on a fetus? If you've had that. These are all factors you've got to think about now. So, the social situation isn't good. And there's that factor to factor into it as well. So, not a good situation. Again, they don't want us breeding, right? So 29% of high achievers and 34% of ultra achievers work more than 50 hours a week. And a significant portion of these women are on the job 10 to 20 more hours a week than they were 5 years ago. Yeah, they would just want to work you into the ground. See, this is the thing people don't realize. People think, oh, we live in a, free world and blah, 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 and capitalism and it's all good. No, you actually, it's a system of slavery that people are in, and they don't realize it because, they don't call it slavery, right? They call it freedom. It's Orwellian situation we live in, right? But what we have is a system of modern slavery. People are slaves and they don't even realize it, right? Among ultra achievers, a quarter are away on business at least 5 nights every 3 months. I mean, this isn't just the ultra achievers, right? I mean, more and more jobs are demanding longer and longer hours, right? According to the research by sociologists Jerry Jacobs and Kathleen Gerson, the percentage of women working at least 50 hours a week is now higher in the United States than in any other country. Yep. The United States has a work ethic, but, it's bad everywhere. And it's only going to get worse, right? So I don't know if I'm going to read all of it, but yeah, basically people are working longer and longer hours. Yeah. No time to find anyone, right? 70-hour weeks plus. Of course, long hours aren't unique to women. No, they're not. So again, it's everyone's in this situation now. They're just working you're a slave basically. That's essentially all you are in this world. So I don't know if I'm going to read any more of this. I'm scrolling down. An unforgiving decade. Women pay an even greater price for these long hours because the early years of their career building overlap almost perfectly. How about that? The prime years of childbearing. Yep. Right? Again, they don't want you breeding, right? They don't want women, and here's the thing, family provides stability, right, in people's lives, right? So, even if you have children, they want you, having someone else raise your child. They want the state to raise your child while you're out of work, right? So they can program your child, right? That's if you're having them, right? So these years that when women are going out and they're told, yeah, you go girl, you can have it all, go and get the career, have your fun, right? They're the prime years when, these are the years, as soon as a woman is an adult, she should be looking to settle down, to find a husband and settle down. That's really what she should be doing. Instead, they're out, trying to build the career. And of course, as the situation has made it now, used to be back in the day, a man could just have an ordinary job and support a family, support a wife and children, and buy a house. Those days are gone now. So everyone's now on that treadmill, right? Everyone's now just a slave, right? So I'm not even going to get into wage gaps. That's all just complete fiction. Men tend to work longer hours than women. Women do take time off, to give birth to children and that accounts for the wage gap. There's no actual wage gap that exists. People are getting paid for what they do. That's it. So this is a difficult position in which women find themselves. According to Lisa Benison, former editor of Working Woman and Working Mother magazines, the signals are very clear. Young women are told that a serious person is to commit to her career in her 20s and devote all her time and energies to her job for at least 10 years if she's to be successful. Yeah, the signals are very clear. And everyone's going along with it. You see, but this is the thing. Why are people listening to the world all the time? But they do. And this is the result. This is where we are now. But, you know, in this culture we live in, you're told, you know, it's a form of slavery, right? Even though jobs are slavery, we're told it's a form of slavery to settle down, you know, and have a husband, be a stay-at-home wife and mother, you know. Oh no, that's slavery. Freedom is the workplace, you know, where you can work 70, 80, 100 hours a week and be completely unhappy and completely unhealthy. But, you know, this is what I'm saying. People fall for it. People fall for the programming, you know. And of course, these days, you know, the OnlyFans is now considered a career option for a lot of women, right? Whether it's as a side hustle or as a full-time career, right? Now, the cost of living crisis is kicking in, right? So here we've got an article here. All natural OnlyFans model cuts her prices amid cost of living crisis. And this is dated from last September 2022. So yeah, it's probably gotten a bit worse since then, right? Bombshell says her income has dropped around $15,000 since last year. So again, you know, they're normalizing this kind of thing as a career option. You know, a lot of women now consider something like this as a career option, you know, as the economy tanks, you know, more and more being pushed into this or choosing to go into this, right? Popular all-natural OnlyFans model has had to slash her prices amid the ongoing cost of living crisis, right? I won't read all of it, but I'm going to scroll down. So, of course, like anything, you know, once the market for this stuff becomes saturated, yeah, you know, once it becomes normalized, right, the market becomes saturated and more competition out there, right, for these guys that really should be, you know, changing their outlook on life. Instead, they're giving their money away to these women. They should really be working on themselves, you know, and this is what I encourage on my channel, you know. But that market becomes saturated, yeah, so it becomes harder and harder. More women jump onto the bandwagon because it becomes normalized, this sort of lifestyle. But we see here again, this article, right, is really just promoting OnlyFans because they're bringing attention to OnlyFans. And then we see you can follow Fenella and her content creation journey on Instagram here. Find her OnlyFans here. So you have the article, which is really just a promotion piece for this woman, right? That's all it is. But this is how they do it. This is how the media normalizes a certain culture. Whatever culture they want to push, they will normalize it. So this is what we really need to get back to, guys. This is the foundation of everything, you know. And you know, the world's crazy. Actually, crazy isn't the right word. It's evil, and it gets you chasing, falling in alignment with the world in an attempt to try and get those things. You know, the harder things are to attain, it gets you trying harder to try and chase these things that are really the basic God-given fundamentals of life. And this is what I'd encourage you all to do is, you know, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything will be added unto you. You know? So this is where the focus needs to be, and this is really the direction we should be going in. If we're to get through these times, survive these times, you know, we need a strong foundation. We need a cornerstone. We need a solid foundation, and that solid foundation is Jesus Christ, which I believe and know is going to turn us into the people we need to be. people we need to become, the women and men we need to become, but primarily the men, because as men we need to be leaders, disciplined men, strong men, because strong, disciplined men shape the future. A lot of people talk about the end times, and we look around and we go, yeah, you know, we got to be in the end times. And yeah, that's probably true. But in terms of the end times, how long are we looking at? You know, we wait for Christ's return, and that could be tomorrow, next week, next month, a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, 40 years from now. We just don't know. We don't know how bad it's got to get before then. But we know it is going to get worse. And we've got to pick a side. So if you haven't picked a side already, you've got to know that there's only two sides. The side that the world is walking in and telling you should walk in as well. Or there's being on the side of Christ. And I know which one I'm choosing. Because the world is offering you nothing but lies, false promises, and destruction. Whereas Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope this video has been useful to you today. If you like this video, please like, please share, please subscribe. Do leave me any comments below, and I will see you again on the next video. Bye.